Hello everyone, I just passed my English proficiency test. So today we are talking about nest. As usual, we are gonna start off with the most obvious meaning, the bird nest. I remember now about the there is one specific kind of bird I would like to remember, although I do not see him here. Oh, kakapo, yep. So, we all know all these different birds, all doing their nests. Some of them are just flying to different places, yet we still have nests. They've been an object for poetry, their nests have been romanticized very much. It's their house, pretty much. And some birds were really vigorous while building their nest. It has to be in a specific place, out of a specific material. It takes time to build it. Cool. And then we have the other kinds of birds who come to already pre-made nests. They're trying to steal them. They're trying to scare the birds away who built the nest, and now they claim it to be theirs. Basically, these birds are the Great Britain of the animal world, just coming and colonizing already built nests. And then we have this cheater called kakapo. This guy is so different from our birds. If we are to be honest, he's dumb compared to our birds. Listen here, he's not making any nests. He just puts 3 twigs on top of another and he calls it a house. He ain't even flying. I think he hasn't just figured out how to fly. You can look up on the internet what is kakapo and other criteria. What can I say about this? Away profile. Here, rather than running away per the flight instinct, the kakapo freezes in one spot. The flightless bird that looks like an owl is surprisingly a parrot. So two main things. It doesn't fly, so it's just a feather. It's a penguin, because they also cannot fly, but with feathers. Except when he sees a threat, he doesn't run away, he just freezes on the spot. He thinks the predator is not gonna see me. Like, yeah, you don't see me, peekaboo, you don't see me, peekaboo. And then what's more interesting, when it's the mating season, he digs a small hole in the ground, he jumps into that hole and he starts screaming, hoping the female will hear him and just come to start mating. He doesn't look for anything, he just digs a hole, starts screaming and hopes to find a girlfriend. And the funniest thing, he doesn't even try to hide it. He just jumps and starts screaming, and someone might hear him and come there. Some predators might come as well. You don't see me. I'm screaming from my mating person sees me because they hear my mating sound. You don't see me. I'm Batman. Oh, and there are less than 200 kakaboos left in the world. I guess it's not surprising. They have been deserving to die so easily. They do get the Darwin Award. But also, they had no natural predators or threats on their population until humans arrived. So once again, we humans tend to make it even funnier. What could be funnier than making the most useless population of birds go extinct because we just wanted to do so. And then, what awareness do we have? I'm not sure about that. Let's jump straight into the second meaning, which is the parent nest. You have a family, they build the house, the home in which you live, and this is called the parenting nest. Not gonna talk about nesting in programming. World Wide Web could be also kind of a nest, but for now let's stop on the parenting nest, because one day you're gonna have to build that one too. Can't wait to see you building a parenting nest, yeah? I'm gonna take care of my children, but first I gotta find their mother. Okay, I gotta find their father as well. Just make it fair. So, why is it called a nest to begin with? Well, quite obviously, when birds have their nests, they have their eggs laid in the nest. Most of them. And once the baby birds are born, the parenting birds, they have to feed them in the nest. And once the birds develop enough, they grow enough and they develop the feathers, the wings, and so on, they fly away from the nest, which metaphorically translates into our social life, where you have your family, and once the children grow up, they have to go away from their parents, they have to be separated, and suddenly they all live on their own. Funnily enough, some people don't do it. We're gonna come back to this later. Something interesting we could talk about. So this is why it's called a nest. Just like baby birds, we grow up, we then leave as soon as we learn how to fly on our own. When we don't need anyone to breastfeed us, we fly away, we start building our house, our families, and now we have to be the parents in this feeding nest and watch our children grow up and go away. It's kind of a loophole. Also, the fact that this idea would imply you have to have a family and you gotta have children, you have no other options around. Well, you decided. Doesn't matter for me. But the thing is, the way this nest works around the world is very different. Hear me out. We have countries, I'm pretty sure the United States have something like this. Maybe not uniformly spread across the entire US, but the children pretty much dream of living on their own. Yes, we have events like Thanksgiving where you gather with all your family, you stay together, but if gathering with your family was not an issue, you would not need a holiday for that. You would not need a holiday to come up with a reason to gather your family around you. Anyway, my goal was not to roast the Americans. It's not just USA, it's just the first country that came to my mind, where children, they're pretty much grown, educated and taught to live on their own, to live their parenting nest, to build their career. In USA, we have a lot of people that are career oriented. So the career comes before the family. Also, we have all these trends in internet, in social life, in culture. Black pill, red pill, blue pill, I'm not sure about this one. Anyway, man-hating feminism. I think that ends up obscuring the relationships between men and women will eventually turn out to make your relationships with your other half, whatever gender it may be, it ends up making these relationships way harder. And then building your career becomes way easier than finding your partner. What do? Naturally, we go down the path of the least resistance, which is building a career. Why waste my time and try to think, to fight for a solution, to find a partner? I can just go to work and build my career there. My partner isn't gonna provide me for anything, right? In fact, I might be the one to have to pay for him. Oh my god, no! This kind of logic. And we have other countries also career-oriented. In fact, it's not even about the country. As crazy as it sounds, being a person willing to make a career is not about the country, it's about the person. It's just about the personality. It is true that you can find certain countries that do attract and benefit more people with a certain mindset or personality, yes. But this applies for the majority, not for the entirety of the country. So we have exceptions everywhere. That's set in stone. Anyway, in a society where people are oriented towards strengthening their careers, you naturally come up not being interested in relationships. You just don't have energy for that. Another example, Japan. It's not that people don't want relationships there. It's not even that the Japanese people are so much career-oriented. It's that they have no time for family. Their entire social life and structure is built around working. Your work contract has some extra hours you have to work every day without being paid for that. And it's in the contract. You have to work additionally without getting paid. And how do you get an increase in salary, in your wage, a bigger check? Well, you keep working. Most of the companies in Japan were increasing their wages based not on your achievements, whatever you have given to the company, not even on your skills. It raises proportional to your time, the time you have worked for the company. And someone who is better than you but came like 5 years later than you to the company, he will get paid less. And so the same is true for if you decide to change your workplace. Your counter will reset, and even though you're old, you have been working your whole life, you changed your company, you have to start your salary from almost zero. I mean, from the basics, yes. And considering all this extra work they have to do, you have no time for building a family. In fact, even if you make a family, both of you have to work an abnormal amount of time. At the same time, if you decide to have a kid, the bills for education are so high, it's almost unaffordable. It's very expensive to have a kid in Japan, yes. That's why they have a problem of declining population. No one wants to make family, that's one. It's expensive to have children, that's true. And no one has time for family, that's three. Three major reasons. It's like you're not encouraged to have families. It's been a big problem for Japan. That's why it had for decades that problem of the increasing average age of their population. Anyway, also about Japan, I found out recently such a thing called as GDP. I've known that for like a year and a half, but also I found out about national debt, specifically Japan's national debt, because every country has the ratio of the national debt and their GDP. So what percentage of your GDP is your national debt? And let's break it down for people who might not know it. The GDP is the value of all the goods that have been produced inside the country during a certain amount of time. Usually it's 1 year. So basically, the mouse, the headphones, the glasses, anything that has been made inside the country during the last year, its value is added to the GDP. It might not be a physical good, it might be a service, it's still being included in the GDP. Something that was produced 2 years ago does not come in this year's GDP. And gathering all the goods that have been made, we get the gross domestic product. Shortly abbreviated is GDP. So the value of all the goods that our country has made during the last year, that is GDP. And then also countries, they tend to take loans and credits and debts. So they have an amount of money that has been borrowed from external resources, and they have to pay them back after a certain amount of time. That's how the debt works. So this is the national debt, because it's the debt a country has. And now what they do, they compare these two amounts. So how big is the national debt compared to our GDP? And on the first place is Japan, whose national debt is 2 times higher than their GDP. So whatever they have been making in the country for the past year, they have to pay back more than double of that amount, because the ratio is higher than 2 point something. That's how big their debt is. It sounds crazy, like how can they still survive with such a crippling debt, higher than the tuition fees in USA. It's simple, they have the ability to keep up the payment. It's an enormous amount of money, but they have the possibility to keep paying their debt until eventually it gets diminished. And what's interesting, that's why Japan is fiercely fighting to not have deflation. So you know what inflation is? Deflation is the opposite process. When the value of a currency increases, that's deflation. And Japan is desperately trying to fight the deflation rates, because once their currency gets more valuable, they have to pay more to their creditors. Yes, their creditors. They have to pay more, and they do not want their national debt to increase even higher, so they're desperately trying to keep their inflation rates stable. They do not want to face the deflation. That's also an interesting thing about Japan. Next. Suddenly this video is taking way longer than expected. The subject we are talking is indeed very vast and large, so let's jump to my second part of this speech, is how some countries, they have people oriented towards more family oriented values. Their value is not building a career, getting a paycheck, or something external, I think. It's more like their inner values, one of which is their family. One of the theories why this might be the case that some countries have some sort of idea, as I said, being oriented towards careers, and other countries on a national level, on a cultural level, they're oriented towards building families well. So the theory is sunlight. Countries that get little to no sunlight, I mean less than the average, they tend to have people less happy. And in such countries, people are indeed more goal-oriented. And countries where you get enough sunlight, like my country or any other country, people tend to be more happy. And as social creatures that evolved to live in a society bonded with other social creatures, we also get happiness from interacting with other creatures.